what God, what he went into his handmaiden and carried on, and he bore a son with Hagar and called his name Ishmael. And then as Ishmael was being born and growing up and carrying on, old Hagar, the handmaiden, just started despising old Sarah. And old Sarah got so mad and carried on that she told Abraham. Abraham said, "Do with her what you will." And they began, she began to press down on Hagar, and Hagar cuts out. God told Hagar to go on back there and carry on. So she went on back, and she stayed there with her and carrying on. Pretty soon God visited Abraham. He was sitting in the doorway and looked up. There was three, and it was the Lord and his angels. And he come and sat down, and he had broke bread with Abram and asked Abram, "Where's Sarah?" And she told her that she's intended, and he told her that she was, by this time, at the fullness of time, she was going to have a son. Oh, Sarah laughed, and she said, "Oh," the Lord asked, "Why you laugh?" She said, "I didn't laugh." She said, "Yes, you did. You laughed." And carried on. And by that time, the following year, old Sarah had enjoyed the life with Abram and had gotten pregnant and gave birth a son, and his name was Isaac. And Lord, behold, they were having a party of weaning Isaac and carrying on, and again, Sarah looked up and saw the handmaiden son mocking her son, and she told Abraham, say, "Listen, he's not going to be here with my son. He's not going to inherit with my son, so he's got to go and get him on away from here." And pretty soon, they gave her some water and sent her on out the land. But it was okay, because God met her out there when she thought she was going to die. But the Lord met her and showed her water, and she gave her son water to drink, and he flourished, and she picked out him a wife, of an Egyptian wife, and God told her he was going to have princesses come from him. 12 princesses came from Ishmael and all of that. Wow. Abraham and Isaac was called by God to listen. God told Abraham to go sacrifice his son, and Lord, behold, he went on and went to walking, looked up, saw the place where the Lord told him to go, told his servants to stay here, me and the lad go, and he went on up, and even Isaac asked him, say, "Listen, we see, I see the fire, I see the wood, but where is the sacrifice?" Oh, Abraham told him that God will provide. Oh, Abraham built the altar, set the wood up, laid his son out on the altar, and lo and behold, as he drew back the knife, God said, "Hold it now, you ain't got to do it." He put a lamb in the thicket over there, and he caught him and he sacrificed that lamb. But it was a wonderful thing, because God knew that Abraham loved his son, but he was going to sacrifice him anyway. So God let him know that he know now that he wouldn't hold anything back from him. So they continue on. Old Isaac grew up and carried on, and old Abraham called his servant and told him, say, "Listen, go get my wife a son, a daughter, a wife from out of my own kindred, and go on down there and do it this way here. And listen, don't get, if she don't come with you, don't worry about it." So he went on down and did what the master told him to do. And when he got down there, he prayed to the Lord and said, "Lord, listen, help me find and what to do." And the Lord told him what to do, and he come across a woman by the name of Rebecca that fell right in the order for which God had said would be provided. And that was a powerful thing as they continued on in that era, because Rebecca took him on back to her household, Laban, and Laban began to minister unto the servant, as the servant told him the story about Isaac and Abraham and all of that. He was going to bring her back. So old Rebecca decided to come on back. This is right after old Isaac done lost his mother. But when Rebecca got back, he saw Rebecca, and his heart was comforted as he took Rebecca into his mother's tent. So she became his wife and carried on, and she was his wife. He married her when she was at the age of 40 years old. Now they got married, and you know they didn't have a children for a little while and carrying on. And old Isaac prayed unto the Lord, and pretty soon she gave birth to twins. There was twins. But then Esau and Jacob. Oh Lord, we talked about the trials and tribulations between Esau and Jacob. Esau was a man of the field. Jacob was a man of home. And not only that, old Rebekah loved her sons. But Esau was loved by her father, by his father, Isaac. And pretty soon, old Esau come in one day, hungry as he could be. Old Jacob in there fixing food again. He said, listen, give me some of that food before I die. And he said, well, sell me your birthright. He said, what good is my birthright if I'm dead? Listen, you can have it. So he fed him that red porridge. And then he got up and despised his birthright. And then one day his father come to him and called him unto him and told him that he was on the verge of about to pass and carrying on. So he sent him out and said, go get some of that venison and prepare it the way I like it, and come on back here, I'm going to bless you. But old Rebekah heard what was going on, and she told Jacob, listen, I want you to go in there. I want to prepare this meat. And he said, well, listen, my brother's all hairy and stuff. I can't look like him and sound. She said, don't worry about it. He said, when he find out, he's going to curse me. She said, let the curse fall on me. She put on some gold tabs, some gloves on his hand, fixed the food, sent him on in there, and old Jacob blessed him. He hugged him and smelled the garment, and it smelled like his son Esau. He felt like Esau. So Jacob blessed him, gave him a blessing, and carried on. And the old Jacob went on out after he fed him and drunk with his father. He went on out. By the time he got out and on down the way some, here come Esau with the food, and he asked, come on, Father, eat and bless me. And I went to trembling and shaking. Oh Lord, no. He said, who did I bless? Then who was that I blessed already? He said, don't you got to bless it for me, Father? And he blessed him too. And old Esau was so mad, he said, after his father died, I'm going to kill Jacob. But old Rebekah heard it, and she said, listen, I'm going to send you on the way. Even Isaac heard about it. He said, you going on the way. They sent him on down there to Laban. And when he got down there to her Uncle Laban, to her brother's house, he saw a woman down there that he fell in love with, Rachel. He wanted Rachel, so they made a deal. He'll work 7 years for Rachel and all of this here. But on the wedding night, he got tricked on his wedding night. They wouldn't give him Rachel. They gave him Leah. And Leah was the older. And when he woke up, he said, why would you do this to me? He said, well, you know that our custom is for us to give the older first and then the younger, but just work 7 more years and you can have her. At the end of 7 days, I give it to you right now, but you just work for me 7 years. And that's what happened. So he ended up with 2 wives, and then he ended up, the wives, each one of them got a handmaid, Bilhah and Zephyr. Now here we go with all type of stuff going on in the household. Old Rachel having Leah having 4 children, Rachel not having none. She give him her handmaiden. Her handmaiden had 2, and Leah saw it and heard that she wouldn't have any more, so she give her her handmaiden. He had 2 with her. Now Leah still ain't having none. Then Rachel still ain't having none, but old Leah still ended up having 2 more sons and a daughter. And then Rachel broke through with Joseph. Now when Rachel breaks through with Joseph, Jacob had been getting his payment from his father-in-law through the different types of cattle and stuff. Some was speckled, he'll get those. Some was striped, he would get those. His flock was getting stronger while Laban's flock was getting weaker, and so he decided to leave. And when he left, he just packed up everything and left. He didn't tell about it. He was gone. But old Rachel stole some of the gods that was there, and they took on off. And when Laban found out he was gone, and some of the statues was gone, he took off after him, and he come and found her, began to search through their tents looking for the stuff. But old Rachel put them in the pouch and sat on top of them and told her father she couldn't get up because she was in the woman's cycle and carrying on, and he couldn't find her. And old Joseph, Jacob went off. Jacob goes off and carrying on, but it was okay. And they went on about their business, and they made a covenant with one another that he wouldn't harm Laban whatsoever. But then it continued on. As they continued with the fact that they didn't that they moved on to the land from which they was supposed to be in and carrying on, and old Jacob decides to go back to see his brother. Now he decides to go back and see his brother. You know his brother gonna kill him. So he divided his flock and separated them into two. And then he sent some gifts. He sent some sheep, some herds of sheep, herds of goats, herds of kine. He separated them and let them be apart from one another. He told them, now when Esau come running up on you, and you tell him, well, this is a gift for him. And when he see the next one, you tell him the same. And so they sent ahead to let Esau know he was coming. And the servant come back and said, Esau is on his way with 400 men. And so he set him up the herds and all of that stuff. And Esau saw him and carried on. Finally he got to his brother, and he held out his hand, and they hugged one another, asked who all these kids was, and all. He told them this was his family and all that. And they went on down to see her, and they rejoiced with one another and all this here stuff. It was a beautiful relationship as they come on back. Now, as Joseph is growing up, he is Jacob's favorite because he is from his old age. Now, Jacob makes him a coat of many colors. Now, old Joseph begins to have dreams. He had one dream. He told his brother about it, that they was all out picking sheaves, and all their sheaves stood up and surrounded his sheaves, and they all bowed down. They didn't like that whatsoever. Then he had another dream. He told his brother and his father that, listen, all the stars and the moon and the sun paid homage unto him. All his father didn't like that, and his brothers didn't like that. But also, his father kept it in his remembrance. So that was a beautiful thing. Genesis chapter 49, King James verse. And so he continued on, and pretty soon his father called him and told him that, listen, I want you to go where your brethren is. I want you to find your brother and go exactly where they are. And I want you to bring back a report. So he goes out looking for them. They supposed to have been in this place. They wasn't in that place. He was wandering around. A man told him they went someplace else. So he went to over there, and there they was. So as he was walking up to them, they spotted him from a ways off. And when they spotted him from a ways off, all they despised him, wanted to kill him. One of them said, don't kill him. No, don't kill him. Please don't kill him. So they decided to put him in the well. And the one that said don't kill him, he was going to come back and get him out of that well. But while he was down in that well, they looked up and they saw some Ishmaelites coming. Oh, Lord. And when they saw the merchants coming, they decided to sell him. Judah spoke up and said, let's sell him so his blood won't be on our hands. So they took off his coat and they sold him into there for 30 pieces of silver. And they took him on down to Egypt. They took his coat, dipped it in some blood, took it on back to their father, and asked their father, was this Joseph's coat? And he recognized and said, yeah. He said, well, he must have been torn into wild pieces. We can't find him. Oh, they took him on down to Egypt. He went into Potiphar's house. Potiphar got blessed. His wife tried to sleep with Joseph. Joseph ran off. She told her husband, they put him into the jail. Jail. He stayed in the jail. The jailer, he took over the jail, serving the jail. Everybody was underneath his thing. There was two that came from the king's house, the butler and the baker. They both had a dream. Joseph was given an interpretation by God, and it went exactly as he told him to. Pretty soon, Pharaoh has a dream. And Pharaoh wanted to know the meaning of the dream, and he brought all his soothsayers, majesties together, and none of them could tell him but the the butler, the chief butler, remembered that there was a man in prison, and listen, that deciphered him dream and the butcher's dream, and it came to pass just like he said. So he sent for that man, and Joseph took a bath and shaved and went before Pharaoh. Pharaoh told him the dream, and Joseph let the Lord interpret the dream through him. And then Joseph told him how to overcome by setting a man in charge and gathering in the 7 good years, put it up for the 7 bad years. So Pharaoh said, where can we find such a man? And he chose Joseph. He took a signet ring and put it on his finger, took a chain around his neck, put fancy garments on, and told him he ride in the 2nd chariot. There's only one that's above him, and that's in the throne room itself, that he was 2nd in command of Egypt. And lo and behold, it came to pass just as Joseph said it. All the good years, he gathered up all the crops, and then in the starting of the bad years, that 2nd year, his father and them said, go on down to Egypt. They told us it's grain in Egypt. Go on down there. He sent his sons, 10 boys down there to go get some food, because see, Rachel had another son. By this time, his name was Benjamin. Oh, Rachel had passed, but Benoni is what she called him. He changed his name to Benjamin, and he wouldn't send Benjamin with him. He wanted to keep Benjamin close to him because he only had 2 from Rachel, and that was Joseph and Benjamin. So they went on down, they got there, and the moment they got there, by the grave, old Joseph recognized him, and Joseph began to taunt him, began to talk to him. Old Joseph began to mess with him. Old Joseph began to cause them to get afraid, because Joseph began to mess with their money, put the money back in their pouch, and all this here. He even took one of them captured until they bring the other son that they left down there. Father don't want to release the boy, but it was okay. So pretty soon he released him and brought him back. And when he brought the boy back, when Joseph saw his brother, he couldn't hold himself. He went on his room and wept and carried on, and he had him brought to his house, and he sat him down and he fed him good. And all of this here, and he told them, said, listen, give them what they need, but put my silver cup in the youngest one's pouch. So they did just that. Now when they put the silver cup in there, they went out there. He come and found them, and the rest of them say, oh, whoever you find that cup in, let him be your servant. And the Lord expounded it in Benjamin said, they all tore their clothes, and they crying out. They get back up to Joseph, and they want to holler and explaining themselves and all of this here. Now this is where we are after they explain themselves in chapter 45. We go right into chapter 46. Old Joseph couldn't take it no more after they began to explain themselves. Joseph just couldn't take it anymore. Joseph told all of the people, all of them, get out. Everybody get out. Leave me alone. And they all left. And then pretty soon old Joseph began to tell his brother, listen, he began to tell his brother exactly who he was. He began to reveal himself. He told him, he said, listen, I am Joseph. He tells him that I'm Joseph. I am that one that you sent away. I am that one. Come, don't be afraid. Come close. I'm going to reveal unto you who I am. And he began to cry and kiss upon him and let him know, listen, it was not you. He said, I'm not mad at none of you all for what you did. It wasn't you that did it. It was God that brought me here. He told him, he asked him how was his father doing, and he said, is his father still alive? And they couldn't hardly answer him. But listen, Joseph said, listen, I want you to go back, and I want you to bring my father and all your people unto you, because this is only the 2nd year of the famine. It's got 5 more years to go. Listen, I want all of you to come back unto me, and I'm going to give you the land of Goshen to live into and dwell into, to serve as salt. That Joseph's brethren said, come unto him. They go and tell Pharaoh, and Pharaoh saw. So Pharaoh had them to come before him, and he told them, now you go back, you go get all your people, all of your father coming to sustain in the land chariots and all type of stuff. He gave him clothing and everything to go forth to bring back his father unto him. And all of this here, they gave him 10 chariots, he gave him chains of garments, and he gave Benjamin 300 tablets, 300 pieces of silver, and 5 changes of clothes. They went on back, and when they got back, they told the father, they listen, Joseph run the land. Joseph is in the land, and good Lord of me, Joseph is second in command of the land. Listen, come, he sent for you. His father couldn't believe, but all of a sudden, when he saw all the stuff that was brought back, he believed. So he gathered up. He said, "Man, let's go see before I die." Put his eyes on Joseph. Now, as he gets so far in the journey, as they done loaded up and they started their way, he goes to sleep and he hears the Lord call his name. He hears God call him, Jacob. Jacob. He said, "Here I am." He said, "Listen, don't be afraid to go on down to Egypt. Go ahead down now. I'm gonna go before you, and you're gonna multiply into a great nation." And he said, "And I shall be with you, and I will bring you up out of there and to the land for which I have given you." So Jacob they went on down, and they sent Judah before him to let him to figure out the way to Goshen. And Judah figured out the way, got led under Goshen, led under people to Goshen. Joseph got up and got in his chariot, and he rode and he met his father. He met Israel, and when he met him, Joseph come before him and wept upon his shoulder for a long period of time. And Jacob was so glad to see his son, and they were glad to see all of the people that was brought before him. And Joseph goes and tell him, he said, "Now, listen, I'm going to take you before Pharaoh, and you tell Pharaoh that you were shepherds over your flocks, from even your fathers were shepherds over the flock." He said, "And when you go before him, let him know this, because listen, shepherds was despised by Egyptians, but you let him know this is what your ability is, and all of this here." So they was called before Pharaoh, and old Joseph took about 5 of his brethren with him, and they bowed down before Pharaoh, and Pharaoh asked them, "What do you do?" And they began to tell him, "We are shepherds, we are men of cattle and herdsmen. We have been doing this, even our fathers was this here." And old Pharaoh was pleased with that, and he told them, "Well, give them the land of Goshen."